Hey guys, welcome to Dork Forge. My name's Paul, and this is our Fizban's Treasury of Dragons series. Do you want more D&D and Fizban's content? Then hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Every subscriber helps to build and support our channel, and we are extremely grateful for each and every one of you. But now it's time to look at some new, perhaps diamonds in the rough that have been uncovered, as today we're taking a look at the gem Dragonborn that were introduced in Fizban's. Now, straight off the bat, we can see what these fellows look like, and yes, whilst the floating gem horns do pose some questions about the headwear they might enjoy, it does certainly look cool, and it is our first indicator that these Dragonborn do have an intrinsic psionic bent. Some of these, particularly the amethyst in the middle, is looking a little reminiscent of perhaps having a cluster of ion stones rotating around your head, and whilst the art style is a little different from some of the other Dragonborns, perhaps more of a cartoony appearance, it is 100% still an interesting and really cool looking aesthetic. Now, this is the first introduction to Gem Dragonborn we have in 5th edition, and they are given ample amounts of lore down below, as they are meant to be. See, look how cool that is. As they are meant to be related to Sardior the Ruby Dragon, which is given plenty of lore in the Fizban's book as kind of a third, not quite god figure, but still a matriarchal dragon figure, a progenitor of the Gem Dragons, and by association the Gem Dragonborn. Now, the Gem Dragonborn are interesting for quite a few reasons. Of course, they share the ability to have +2 and +1, or +1 in 3 different stats of your choice. That is a common thing applied to all Dragonborn, and I suspect all races going forward, they stay with the stock 30 feet and whatnot. Now, one of the things that makes them interesting is something that we'll jump forward to touch on a little bit, and it's the Gem Ancestry trait. And whilst chromatic and metallic Dragonborn share essentially the same elemental damage types, Gem Dragons and Gem Dragonborn instead go down a more interesting route, with Amethyst related to Force, Crystal to Radiant, Emerald to Psychic, Sapphire to Thunder, and Topaz to Necrotic damage. From a player optimization point of view, this is a very interesting double-edged sword, actually, but we'll talk more about that with the breath weapon. So this is the same breath weapon that the chromatic and metallic Dragonborn get, except with a different damage type. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of them with an exhalation of destructive magical energy. The Gem Dragonborn get a 15-foot cone, the same as the metallic Dragonborn, and they must make a dexterity saving throw. I don't think it's particularly a problem with the Gem Dragonborn types, primarily, but I think it is a little bit of a shame we lost the dynamism, you know what I'm trying to say, it's less dynamic. Words are hard. With the original PHB Dragonborn, you had some variety of saving throws, dexterity, constitution, as well as the line and the cone changed depending on what type you were. However, for this you're going to be making a dexterity saving throw against necrotic, which would have been nicer to see constitution. But I do have to admit it does make things more streamlined and more player friendly. So you swap out one of your attacks and the creature takes a d10 of your damage type on a fail save or half on a success. And the progression has been tweaked a little bit from the PHB to be more in line with the change in tiers, going to 2d10 at 5th, 3d10 at 11th, and 4d10 at 17th. And you can use this breath weapon a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest, whereas the PHB version was once per short rest. So you're going to be able to use this a lot more back to back in kind of an extended Nova situation, but you do run the chance of burning through your resources a little quicker. The Draconic Resistance Now, this is the other part of the dual-edged sword, so to speak. Whilst Radiant and Force and basically all of the gem damage types are generally more applicable and sometimes more advantageous, say if you were looking at Radiant and Vampires, that kind of thing, then you get a more potent damage type, but you also don't typically fight creatures using those damage types a lot for the most part. So your draconic resistance is going to be less useful. This applies less if you choose a Topaz Dragon and you get that necrotic resistance. That can come up quite a lot with different kinds of enemy spellcasters and undead types, that kind of thing. But if you choose Force to get that, I think there's one, maybe two creatures in the entire game right now, maybe more with more recent releases, that have resistance to that. Not including the dragons released in this book. Then unless you're fighting a lot of enemy warlocks, probably not going to come up that much. Now, I did touch on that these are intrinsically a psionic Dragonborn, and that is shown in their psionic mind ability. This is similar to what Great Old One warlocks and Ghostwise halflings and player options of that ilk get. Within 30 feet, you can talk telepathically to a creature that you can see. You don't need to share a language, but they must be able to understand at least one language, meaning that you cannot use this ability to talk to random beasts unless they first learned Elvish, or something else. Maybe Dwarvish. I'm not going to judge what the wolves like to learn. Now, that is quite nice overall, actually. This is notable in that I don't believe either the Chromatic or the Metallic Dragonborn actually get an additional feature, whereas for the Gem Dragonborn we do have this nice, it is pretty much a ribbon, but it's still an additional thing. Coming up to 5th level, they get the option of flight, which is fantastic actually. For a bonus action, they can manifest spectral wings that give them a fly speed for 1 minute of their walking speed, and they can hover. Now, the importance of the hover trait means that if your speed is reduced to 0, you won't just plummet to the earth. And you can use this ability once per long rest. Now, something interesting and kind of fun, and I assume you'll see a lot of builds dotted around various YouTube channels, maybe even this one, who knows, that will take advantage of this, because one of the common problems you have playing a Moon Druid or other Druid that is focused on wild shape is that you can't really talk to your party unless you have telepathy, and this is commonly fixed by using something like the Great Old One Warlock as a dip, or more easily a Ghostwise Halfling as the base race. But Psionic Mind would allow you to communicate just fine, and Gemflight means that you can, I'll use a stereotype here, you can be a bear that flies and breathes energy whilst talking psychically to your allies, and for good measure concentrating on spike growth. That's kind of insane and also kind of awesome. So, if you can imagine a flying bear roaring around breathing radiant energy, that's interesting to say the least. And I think overall this is definitely stronger than the Chromatic Dragonborn. I'm indecisive whether or not this outright beats the Metallic Dragonborn, just because the ability to incapacitate an entire group of people or monsters is very potentially strong. Although, FYI, I did fail when I attempted to do that recently playing a Metallic Dragonborn, but the dice fall where they may. I think I will give the edge to the Gem Dragonborn and say that this is probably the most powerful option. And let us know what you think, though, because all of this has just been my rambling, and this one was a bit rambly, about the Gem Dragonborn, but at the end of the day, you know what I think. I want to know what you think. Let us know in the comments down below what your opinion is. Do you disagree with me at points? Do you agree with me? What's your favourite type of tea? You know, all of these interesting things that you can share. Hit that like button if you like this video, and if you want more Fizbans and 5e content, then hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want your next fix straight away, then smash one of the end screen boxes appearing on screen now. My name's Paul, and I'll see you next time for another ramble at the Forge.